So, what did you miss at Jubilee today? Well, it was Mother's Day. And so I guess you missed a whole bunch of mothers and children. Um, but that's true almost any Sunday. But we did observe Mother's Day. We we talked about its origins, and we shared Julia Ward Howe's proclamation from 1870, the very woman who wrote those words, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. We shared her proclamation to all women to be politically involved and active, to to not respond to war with more war, to petition for peace, to recognize peace. A plea for women to gather and discuss, seek counsel on all international problems, that we might find a way to live together in peace, that our children need not kill each other. Uh, and they were powerful words, and I invite you to look them up. 1870, Julia Ward Howe, the Mother's Day Proclamation. It is part of the history of Mother's Day, and it's vital, and it's not brunch and flowers. It's a plea for peace. It's a plea for love. It's a plea for love applied creatively and passionately. It was fabulous. We did that. We also shared the Psalm 98, and we shared it by having the choir chanting and the congregation chanting, and I read the words over the chanting, trying to create some sense of excitement. And we kind of made jazz together. It was quite special. Daniel and the choir were terrific. The congregation came in, and I'd love to take credit for the words, but they belong to the psalmist. But we shared that song beautifully today, I thought. And then we got into First John, the letter, and John's gospel, and we heard about love and relationship with God, with Jesus, with each other. Relationships based on love. We heard that following God's commandments shouldn't be hard, that God's commandments aren't burdensome. And so we stopped for a while and wondered about that, because sometimes God's commandments seem awfully burdensome. It's hard sometimes to pray for our enemies. It's hard sometimes to preach the good news to the ends of the earth. It's hard sometimes to not covet our neighbor's goods. And yet, we recognize that sometimes the truly burdensome commandments are the ones that don't come from God, but come from ourselves. The need to be the best, to achieve beyond others, to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. So we shared that today. We shared some of those burdens and tried to maybe relieve a few of those burdens. And we talked about God's commandments and recognized that we are called not as servants, not as employees. We aren't drafted. We are invited as one invites family. I call you friends, Jesus says. We are not slaves to the master. We are friends. We are beloved children of God. And so we discussed what it means when someone who truly loves you gives you advice. When someone who truly loves you tries to share guidance and give you direction. You know that they have your interest at heart, not the bottom line, not a campaign that needs to be won. There is no hidden agenda. When someone loves you and they advise you and guide you, they do it for you. And when we recognize that God's commandments are meant for us, for our fulfillment, for our satisfaction, for our benefit, we recognize the commandments indeed aren't all that burdensome after all. Anyway, that's what we shared this morning at Jubilee, and I'm sorry we missed you. Hopefully we'll get to see you next week. Thanks.